How open are you to receive? Receive what, you may ask. Well, what would you like to receive? Who would you like to become? How would you like to be in the world? If you're just an open vessel to receive that which is really important to you and experience the sense of peace, fulfillment, love, joy, the things that we all long for, because of course it is who we already are. But somehow we have cut ourselves off from that. We have built some kind of a barrier around ourselves. Actually, that reminds me of Rumi, who said, "Your task is not to seek for love, but to seek and find all the barriers within that you have built against it." I think it's close enough. You get the message. And that, of course, is really what we're talking about inside of ourselves, that we have found ways to cut ourselves off from the fountain of fulfillment, the spring that runs inside of us, the flow. I often talk about the flow because the flow is really who we are at the core. And this flow is fulfillment itself. If you think about that, you are actually a full divine expression of God, a light spark of the great light, then there cannot be anything in there missing. There cannot be darkness in light, and there cannot be lack in infinity. It's impossible. It's only impossible as an internal resistance, conscious or unconscious, a block, a rusty receiving apparatus, where we're not fully able to receive that which we are and that which we long for. We long for what we are. We long for who we are, and we have somehow built a barrier between it and the one that we take ourselves to be. And of course, there are many reasons for that, and they're valid reasons based on our experiences in the past. I can share with you one that really closed the door for me to receive was after I had had this beautiful opening, divine opening, spiritual awakening many years ago in Denmark, where everything opened up. There was just this flood of love, light, gratitude, everything that feels amazing. And then after, I think, 2 or 3 months, something happened in my life that took me to the deepest hell that I had experienced in this life for about 5 months or so. And that amazing light and that beautiful experience that I was immersed in, literally immersed in for months, went away. It was poof, gone. And that, I would say that experience was probably the most god-awful experience I've had or could ever wish on anyone. Because when you have experienced the fullness of this immense love and light and just amazingness, perfection, and then suddenly it goes away, it's almost unbearable. I remember it felt like unbearable. I didn't want to have anything to do with anything anymore, but I'm still here, so apparently I got through it. But I do remember that months, maybe even years after, when I started feeling this inner love stirring in my heart, which I had experienced at such an amazing, expansive level, I closed it off. I simply closed it off. I knew I did it. I could feel it was coming. I was like, no, thank you. I don't want you again, because you went away. It was being this most amazing love affair. And then, the lover just leaves for no reason and leaves me like, what, what happened? What did I do wrong? What's wrong with me? Then all these beliefs started coming up that I had to deal with, of course. So this was my specific experience. And I would say I've been working on this for a long time, and I can always find deeper levels to receive inside myself. I can still find places where there's still some unconscious contraction in my nervous system. And so for me, it's just an ongoing softening and deepening, and things that I always talk about here on my YouTube channel. I know I'm not the only one who has this, and you may have your own experience of how you had this amazing experience, whether it was spiritual or physical, emotional, and then there was a dramatic change. And it's kind of a shock to the system. And, I'd rather not have that again, as beautiful as it was in my experience, than having it again and then have it go away, because that was simply unbearable. So that's my little story, and one for me to work with when I'm aware of when I do it again. And for you, of course, it will be your specific experience where you feel that you have cut off from receiving the love, the joy, the fulfillment, the beauty that you long for and that you already are. So that's when Rumi says, your task is to go inside and find all the places that you have built against it. That is what we need to do. And those places, those are the resistances that I've talked about, and the resistance is really what it is. It's the clamping down on something. So learning to go in there and really soften that so we can receive. Because the only reason we're not receiving is because we're so tight. We're resisting it. We are not allowing it to come through and come out in our experience in this dimension. So, what do we do about it? How do we do it? How do we do it? How do we trust something that we don't trust? How do we trust God when we don't trust God? And I'm sure there are many, many ways. One of many ways I do it is to remember the nature of God, which is love, which is light, which is full expansion of itself, and put myself in that place. It's like making myself available to receive. And when I remember something that I know about, let's say God, Goddess, whatever you want to call it, spirit, when I remember something that I know is true, then I can rest back into that. Then I can just like, oh yeah. So when I'm in that space where from resisting to like, oh yeah, that's true, then I can open up and say, okay, I'm open. And the more we can feel that we are open to receive, because it is a feeling inside where you just like, oh yeah. And there might be fear in there. You may have similar things where, something great came and then it went away. I think we all had that experience more than once in many areas. So we need to learn to be with that. And I would say the more I open up to receiving, the more this softens. And that's when I see things showing up in a way that I can't really do by myself. For me, it's an ongoing practice. I don't know what it's like for you, but I really want to be so fully open to who and what I am at the core, that it becomes a life task for me. There's nothing else I really want. And you may remember when I have shared my deepest core statement, my deepest desire, which is I am deeply relaxed in the effortless flow and fulfillment of God's loving grace. That is what I want. And I'm not there. I'm getting closer at times, and then at times I seem further away. But I know where I want to go. And I just stay with that. And I stay open to that. And then when there are the resistances and the contractions, I just pause. And I'm not, instead of resisting the resistance, I will breathe into it. And I will allow myself to fully feel that resistance by saying something like, yes, you can be here too. I did a little video on that recently. Yes, resistance. Yes, resistance to receiving. You can be here too. When I do that, the resistance softens because I'm the one resisting it. And I'm also the one saying, yes, you can be here. And in that, I'm not resisting it. You could probably see that, right? So it's really all up to me. And it's very important that when things become conscious like that we know how to be with them, that we know how to help them stay open. And that's why I talked recently also about the importance of practice and repetition, having a daily practice. If there's something you really, really want, it is so important to set aside time and to commit to let yourself go there until it becomes your reality. And I also know that many of us, we carry these beliefs that, it's not okay, I don't deserve it, I'm not good enough. And those are the contractions that we have built inside of ourselves that we need to find and soften. And that's a process, right? That doesn't happen overnight. But I want to say this, which I think is really important. When we have these deep longings for something, it is because the divine is knocking on the inside of your heart, of your chest, of your door. It's knocking from the inside. Say, come back home. Come back home. And it is the longing you feel. That is the divine speaking to you. It doesn't necessarily come in words. It might, but it certainly comes as a feeling where it's just like, like I just want that deep, deep peace. I've experienced it many years ago on a longer stretch. And it's really the only thing that matters, to really feel and experience that presence, that peace, that stillness, that love. And then everything else doesn't really matter. It's just kind of, here to be enjoyed, but not something that we need, The only thing we really need is find out what the inner wants, the deep, deep inner, the deep, deep desire of the heart, of the soul, and then let ourselves go there. I want to also just say this little sentence here. Whatever it is that you deeply want, and I mean whatever, it's not just a deeply spiritual, whatever, wherever you are in your life, whatever you need right now to be able to feel safe or relaxed or fulfilled. It is okay that you want that. It's okay that you want that. You're not selfish. It's not wrong or bad to want that. And it really is not selfish. It really is not selfish to want what it is that you want at whatever level. There's always deeper levels. So we just take one level at a time and let ourselves fully have that, at least be open to receiving it and know that it is okay that you want that. So why don't we just close our eyes just for a moment? And whatever it is that you deeply long for, that you have not been able to fully receive yet, and that's why the longing is still in there. So just take a breath into that longing. And then you can say, it is okay that I want that. It is okay that I want that. Yeah, it usually brings a little smile to my face and a nice, deep, relaxing breath. And that to me feels like an opening up to receive whatever it is behind my heart knocking. It's like, okay, it's okay. I want that. So that the barrier that we have built against it, the barrier that says, no, you can't have that. No, you're too selfish. No, blah, 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 blah. That's the barrier. So we just say, okay, barrier. Yeah, you can be here too. It's fine. But what can also be here is, I really want that. I really want that.